Hello everyone, Penny here, and today I'm going to be showing you several ways to make the Scrappy Fabric Flowers. And they're kind of just scrappy and grungy and they ravel, and they have a vintage button in the middle. Most of them are really vintage. This is a beautiful button here. And I had several requests about asking me to do a tutorial on how that I created these, so hopefully you all will be able to see what I did in various different ways that you can make these. There's none that is just alike. I've tried to make two that were similar, but I hope you enjoy the video anyways. And here is just a few photos of what I had created. These are going into the women's ministry retreat journals, and they are journals that I've been creating, and I'll show you one here in just a bit, to give to women and in the ministry and things like that. We're having a retreat coming up, so these I was prepping, and then I have some of the Scrappy Flowers on my Etsy shop for sale as well, and all proceeds go to the Junk Journal Ministry. And there is the journal. Here I am showing you several different ones that I have created. Here's another one, and I am going to show you in this video. Here I'm just showing you the insides of the signatures that I put in. It is the Dory style type of cover. It has the muslin ties, and I'm just showing you some of the fabric pieces of the scraps left over. That flower will go on that journal, and hopefully the covers and the flowers will match, and they will go quite well together. Here I am just moving some stuff around, and I'm showing you that the strips are about 11 inches 2 by 11, as I am showing you the measurements for about the pieces to see if you know, I just use this. You can use whatever. You can do 2 by 12, 1 by 12, however that you wish. I am doing a voiceover, so hopefully I can tell you as I go. This is just the scraps that I have. These is scraps from upholstery and curtain samples that was given to me by the local furniture store, just for the Junk Journal Ministry. So I want to thank them for helping me with the donation of the fabrics. That way I could create all the women's retreat journals, and I am working on so much that my desk is so covered up. Here is a sample of the journal, the covers that I've been working on so far. And okay, I'm just clearing the space out, and I'm lining up my piece. I do one piece at a time, and there are so many different methods, you all. This is just how that I do it, and it's just the way that I do things. It's not necessarily the right way or a very good way, but as you see here, I am just crinkling up the fabric, kind of pushing just the top, pinching it up together, and then eventually of course, you can use your needle and thread, but I am just going to pinch this up and hold this with my hand, and then I'm going to use my sewing machine. Now, if you don't have a sewing machine, you can obviously do this by hand, so no worries. I've got this kind of in slow mode, so you can see how that I'm wrinkling and holding the flower, the fabrics down, so that I can pinch it up in the middle and then transfer it over to my sewing machine. And here I'm sticking underneath my sewing machine, leaving my needle down, raising my foot, and maneuvering the fabric around it in a clockwise motion. And here, now that this is done, I'm going to start on my second, the top layer. And I have some stitching on the side, but that's okay because, you know, again, these are just scrappy junk flowers. They're made from new material, but they are made from samples from a furniture store. So they are stitched around, which, like I said, these are basically for junk journals, and they're just scrappy scraps of fabric that has been left. So here I am, I'm doing the exact same thing. I am just pinching it and making a circle motion so that I can just pinch it up, and I can just transfer it over to my sewing machine. And I'm holding it, and while I am placing it under the foot, and I'm just sewing in zigzag stitch, and I'm leaving the needle down as I turn the fabric. Now comes my needle and thread, and I am just putting a knot in the end of the thread, poking it through, and I'm off camera here, so I apologize, but I'm just sewing the two together with just a little stitch. And then I'm going to pick a button out, and these vintage buttons was a gift for the Junk Journal Ministry, and I have cherished these because they are beautiful, and I love vintageness. And I tried to pick the buttons. I tried not to hoard all the buttons. They were so pretty, I couldn't help but hoard some. I had to use some pretty ones, right? Sorry, I'm adjusting the camera there because I've got so much on my desk, and I do apologize, but I've got all these journals. I've got about 20 to complete by the middle of November, so I am working really super fast. So here I am, I'm sewing my button on, and the different buttons just make it gorgeous. It makes it, I think the button is what really sets off the flower. So this is a 2-layer scrappy flower that I sewed together on the sewing machine. If you find that there's gaps in there, if you try these on the sewing machine, don't worry, just sew them together like I'm doing right here on the back of this one. There's a little bit of gap there, and I don't want the flower falling apart. And then, you know, I can cut a circle of fabric and glue on the back, but I didn't really want any more bulk than what was already there, so I'm just doing a couple of stitches to make sure that all of the layers are real good and secured. Now I'm going to show you the method of using a needle and thread, and I'm just knotting the thread so I can have a knot on the end. It's a single thread. Now when I sew buttons on, I use double thread, but whenever I am doing just like I call it the running stitch, you all can call it whatever. It's just in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, real loose, nothing major. This does not have to be perfect. This is not perfection. Okay, this is just scrappy junk flowers. It's made to use up scraps. It's made to, I'm using up the leftovers. So these are going to go actually on the covers of the journals as part of the embellishment, part of the elements of it, to give it some more depth, because I want them to match the covers. And then I can make, if I have enough, I can make little small flowers, but right now I'm just concentrating on the 2-inch ones. When they come out, they're about 4 inches to 4.5 inches, and they're about 1 inch to 1.5 inches thick. So with the 2 layers, so that's how big these flowers are that I'm making. So I'm going to try some smaller ones a little bit later on, but like I said, I'm just doing a running stitch, and then I'm going to hold on to my needle. And I really had a hard time doing this today for some reason, but if you have a migraine, sometimes your hands don't want to work according to what you want to do. Your brain wants to do something, but your hands just don't want to do it, especially if you have a migraine, which today I did. So I'm just gathering it together, trying to make a circle, and then I'm going to do what is then taking my needle and securing it into a flower. So if you don't have a sewing machine, this is a way that you can do it. And I will zoom in here. You can do this on your hand, but if you have a sewing machine, it just makes it a little bit faster, I think. But anyway, I'm choosing a button here, and I'm going to choose one, and I'm just stitching up. There's a little bit of hole there that I needed to stitch because I didn't like how that it was showing through. So now I'm going to put the button on and making sure that all of the little layers are together. And now I am going to show you the ones that I created. I really like this one. It's a big one. It's real thick. And if you notice the backs, this is a sewing machine one. That was, I believe, sewing machine. And I think I did that one by hand, I do believe. So check out the rest of the ones that I'm going to be creating with the new designs coming out of these different ways of doing them. And I hope that you enjoy the tutorial and stay tuned for more. Bye. Okay, here is another one that I'm going to show you. It is a straight stitch, but I am going to gather the fabric under the foot, and I have a little tool here, and I am just pushing the fabric to make little pleats underneath the foot of the sewing machine. And this is a rosette style, and this is where you do like a curly noodle, and then once you have it a curly noodle, like a curly french fry, either one, it just curls on top of each other. I'm going to sew it in the middle using my little tool and using the sewing machine. Now you can obviously